Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Masterpiece Theatre. We are going to have some lovely shows on for you tonight. I think we shall review the latest edition of Sherlock and perhaps maybe talk to somebody else who's very boring and dull.
I haven't watched Masterpiece Theater in forever. I used to watch it when I was a kid.
I know. I remember, like, as a little kid coming home and seeing it on and not understanding a dang thing they were talking about. No, this is Paranormal Hangover, everyone. How are you today?
How's everyone this evening?
Yes.
This rainy, nasty, flood-worthy evening.
Somehow, some way, we've escaped the worst of it up here. Long Island is flooded out. They're now part of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, pretty much.
No more Long Island.
I think Krista Chesere's beloved Robert Moses Park is probably underwater right now.
Oh my goodness. I'm very disappointed at the moment. I'm excited that Mara Katria has joined us in the chat room.
Yeah.
But she seems awful lonely in there because nobody else has signed into the chat room to chat. So usually our chat room is bumping, but tonight it's pretty quiet. You know. So if you're listening in, go to www.dtmwickedradio.com and click listen and chat. It takes 2 seconds to create a profile. You just type in your name and make up a password, and then you're in. So join us there, please. Tonight, we have incredible guests. Mm-hmm. Lauren, tell everybody who our guests are tonight.
Krista Cesare.
Louder?
Krista Cesare.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Christopher
The Cheshire Steam.
Why do we have guests that have the hardest names, by the way? We know him, so his name's easy for us. But everybody is like De Cesare, De Cesar.
Yeah.
It's De Cesare.
Yep.
Chris De Cesare.
Yeah.
Unless he's lying to all of us, and it's really like De Cesar, and he just likes to hear us say it funny. So Chris De Cesare will be our... Chris De Cesare is our guest this evening. You might know him from School Spirits. You might also know him from some other projects he's done, his book, his movies.
Yep.
And he's also now an accomplished director.
Yep.
Or in the process of becoming an accomplished director.
Yeah.
So we won't call him accomplished until it's done.
Ew.
But we'll have Chris on, and then at 7:45 we have Eric Knapp joining us from New Hampshire Project Paranormal.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking over me while I'm speaking. Now you're going to make me stop. There you go, Lauren. Take over the show.
Hey-o.
So, rainy,
nasty,
yucky,
hot,
terrible.
Not even like there's a cool breeze.
No.
It's icky rain.
Icky rain.
Icky rain.
I didn't know there was not an icky rain.
I'm going to tell you something, all right? You can get a rain with a nice cool breeze.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This one's just hot, muggy, nasty.
Anyway, that's for wicked weather. We're not wicked weather.
Wow.
I'm leaving that alone. I
know.
That's my fault. I started talking.
You see how I get you?
No, I'm gonna ask, and everybody who's listening, if Chris isn't listening right now, when he's on, I'm gonna ask him if he still has the short shorts and if he wears them.
Hey-o.
I've seen the pictures of him running when he was a kid. It was the 80s. He had the short shorts.
Yeah.
You know, what are you gonna do?
He was also a marathon runner. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you didn't just wear them around the house.
I think it would be awesome if people in marathons ran wearing like basketball shorts down around their knees. Like they were just jogging in these big bulky basketball shorts.
I think that would probably hurt their times, right?
I don't know. How much does it really hurt the time? It might weigh them down. I don't know.
I guess we'll ask Chris when he comes on, huh?
We shall bring him on.
Yeah, we shall.
But in other news, ladies and gentlemen, in other news, Grant Wilson returning for the 200th episode of Ghost Hunters. That's some major paranormal. That's good news.
No, it is good news. I thought it was going to be more surprising than that. I was going to be like, he's returning for good.
Well, it would have been hard for them to do because they're already filming.
Yeah.
So that means that they would have been sneaking him in like a disguise. It really isn't Dustin Pari. It's Grant Wilson with his hair spiked up, looking like Dustin.
They have like a Dustin Pari wig. With the whole face, like the plastic mask you can buy on Halloween of like Nixon. You got one of Dustin Pari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I'm gonna get a Dustin Pari costume for this Halloween coming up.
I'll be Brit.
You'll be Brit?
Yeah, I'll be Brit.
I want to see you rock a goatee. Bring out the little goatee and everything for Brit.
I'll have a mask.
Now there's no women on the show either. What's up with that?
Oh, that's right, because Amy and Adam are gone, right? Yeah, and Michelle.
Well, Adam's not a woman, but that's okay. But
no, but they're a team. It was always Amy and Adam.
Right. Right. So now there's no women.
Yeah.
Now it's because you can't even count count any of them as any bit girly.
No.
So.
And he doesn't bring his daughter on as much, right? He's not bringing her on, or is he going to continue to bring?
That's a good point.
Jason going to bring his daughter.
It's a very good point.
I forget her name. Terrible, but I forgot her name.
Maybe she will be.
Yeah.
But Jason Hawes' daughter might be on some episodes, so who knows about that.
All right.
That's awesome. It's good to see that Grant's coming back, and I do believe since it's been on Facebook, everybody knows now Joe Chin is joining them for that investigation as well.
Yeah.
And Dustin's on that one too. So
cool.
A little bit of a reunion for them.
Yeah.
But that was really cool to see. Get the band back together.
Yeah. One last time, man.
Get the band back together.
Get the band back, man. Really got World's End.
I think we all had if you follow them on their pages, the Facebook pages and the Twitter pages, we all had an idea it was going to happen because right around the time that they were showing that they were investigating this certain place, all of a sudden Jason Hawes puts a photo up and goes, look who I bumped into.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm sure you bumped into him. Yeah.
Like
Was he, like, weeding outside?
He just
planting tomatoes?
He was looking for autographs.
Yeah, there you go.
He was a groupie down there looking for autographs.
Groupie.
But, so that's some major paranormal news right now. And other than that, I don't know what else is really earth-shattering happening. Oh, Amy Bruni.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
That's right. Her new project.
She's got a new project called...
you told me this morning.
Yep, forgot. So anyway, it's
something like an event thing.
Yeah.
Like an event planning kind of
thing. I
thing.
can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
But it is an event planning thing she's put together. She's already got 3 events planned that tickets can be purchased to. So keep an eye to her page for that because that's some cool stuff happening in the paranormal world.
Yeah.
And maybe someday we'll get her on here to chat a little bit about some stuff. I'd like to talk to her. Yeah. Get Amy Bruni on.
I'd like to chit chat with you, Amy.
So our guest tonight, Chris DeCesare, will be calling in shortly. So if you have any questions lined up, please keep them clean. Lay them out here in the chat room, and I'll do my best to get them over to him so that we can get your answers for him. I hope everyone here is familiar with Chris's story. It's mind-boggling.
Quite interesting, actually. I just finished reading Surviving Evidence today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk anything. I don't want to say anything about it. We'll let Chris tell the story. He tells it much better than I would anyway. But that really, really interesting, kind of like traumatizing thing that happened to him.
Yeah.
You know, and something that still traumatizes him to this day. Something that still kind of sits in the back of his head. You know. Yeah. Just over his shoulder, kind of thing.
And it came from out of the blue.
Yeah, from out of nowhere.
Not like he was looking for it. It was not like the place was haunted already.
No.
It came out of nowhere.
Came absolutely out of nowhere.
And he'll tell us all about that in just a little bit when he gets in here. And then later on we'll talk with Eric Knapp. Eric and his group, New Hampshire Project Paranormal, they've been around since 2002.
Really, have they?
12 years. Oh. They've been helping people in the New England area, Maine, New Hampshire, Mass. They have a show on Paranormal Warehouse. That's called Hunting the Haunted. And that he'll talk to us a little bit about that. They just actually got picked up on Spooky South Coast as well.
Oh, nice.
So you'll be able to see them on Spooky South Coast.
Very cool.
So, anybody else have any good things, stories to tell us? Go ahead. Tell us in the chat room right now.
Right now.
Right now. Go ahead.
Right now. Anyone got any jokes?
No, nothing. It's too quiet.
Wow.
It's crickets tonight. I don't have any good stories. Nothing exciting is going on. I did the Ice Bucket Challenge last week, but we talked about it last week on the show.
Yeah, I can't make any cricket sounds.
No?
I'm not good at making...
Well, I'm good, but I'm not going to do them right now.
Oh, come on.
Nope.
Please?
Nope.
Please?
Nope.
Please?
Nope.
Nope.
We decided actually this week we're just going to cancel the second half of the show.
Yeah.
We're going to keep broadcasting live. We're going to put Jeopardy on.
Yeah.
And we're just going to shut out the answers to the Jeopardy questions as we see them.
Well, because we were so great at it last night. I think I got like 200 points. $200, whatever.
Mahar Khatri says it's reports of mermaids.
Really?
Yes.
Where, Mara? Where?
Well, lots of mermaid sightings in the paranormal. That's the new thing.
The new thing?
That's the new thing everybody's going to jump on now. Mermaids. We're going to go searching for them.
Oh, good Lord. Well, let me tell you something. I get seasick, so I can't scuba dive or anything like that, so you guys have fun looking for mermaids, okay? I'll be on land with a pina colada, holding up a flag that says good luck, hope you find
What would be a good mermaid, like Finding Bigfoot? What would be a good one from mermaids?
I don't
be
know.
a good name for a show.
I don't know.
Like,
snorkeling for mermaids.
Like diving for the maids.
Diving maids.
Oh my God. What else could we look for? We could start a chupacabra search.
Yeah, you can do that.
I'm going to pitch that idea.
Okay.
I'm going to do that. Chupacabra.
I mean, just go back to all these Destination Truth episodes and find like the weirdest animals that you can come up with.
Yeah. Catching the cabras. That's going to be my
Catching cabras.
Catching cabras. Not cobras. Cabras.
Cabras.
I'm going to do that.
Catching cabras. I like that. Hey, Chris Leno's Best comes back this fall. What?
We should get him on the show.
That would be awesome.
I want to get Chris Lee on the show. For anybody who does not know what Chris Lee knows best is, shame on you.
Do yourself a favor.
It is the most incredible TV you could possibly watch ever.
Ever. What do you always say? The Kardashians with morals.
Yeah, it's Kardashians with morals, folks. Kardashians with morals. So that's the Kardashians with morals. Chris Lee knows best.
It is.
Before we speak
epic.
with Chris DeCesare, I'd like to bring Ronald Reagan on for just a moment. Mr. President, are you there? Mr. President?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Ronnie, how are you?
Well, I've been dead for a while, but other than that, I'm just fine. Thank you.
Thank you. This is, in case nobody knew, before we started this, we actually are doing a EVP session live on the air with Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
So, Ron, can you tell us what heaven is like?
Well, now I can't spell EVP, but I'll give it a shot.
DeCesare, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Thank you for jumping onto that with me.
No problem.
You're a busy guy.
Yes, it's a nice thing.
We're going to do this now. Just the 1 and 2 word answers. This is going to be great. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, do you like grapes?
You're
yes
welcome.
or no? Turn the flashlight.
I'll tap once for yes and twice for no.
So, in case nobody knows what we're talking about at the moment, Chris has obviously announced his new project, The Veil Principle, where he's making his directorial debut. I thought I was going to stutter over that, but I didn't. I'm very happy.
No, you
his
did
directorial debut in The Veil Principle, our friend John Tobin and Tiffany Rice are in that, and the lead actor, who I should probably remember, escapes me at the moment. However, why don't you talk to us a little bit about where this came from and what to expect from The Veil Principle?
Absolutely. It's interesting. I've been very fortunate to have been able to watch some quality people like Marc and Bill Edwards create films that I've been able to be a part of. And a lot of people have discussed over the years the C2D1 haunting, where many of my college friends and I went through this extreme situation for months. And during those times, we didn't know if necessarily things were as we thought they would be. What is reality? You know, what were you mentally ill? Were things of a paranormal nature? And so combining those two things, my experience with that extreme haunting, and then watching and growing and learning from some great people, the opportunity came for me to direct The Veil Principle, which is really about a young soldier coming back from the Iraqi war and hearing voices in his head. And the question is it PTSD? Is there something in that room? And how, this individual tries to struggle through that. So it's a nice confluence of variables, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm your set design on Facebook basis is coming along fantastic. So I'm excited to see this when you're done, the finished product.
When do you think that'll be? About how long?
It's hard to say. My goal, just like with anything else, I waited 25 years to talk publicly about the haunting, So if it takes 8 months, 2 years, 9 years, whatever it takes to make a quality product that people will enjoy and never forget, that's when it'll be released. So I don't want to give myself a target date that is just based on, just some random thought. When it is to my degree of satisfaction ready, then it's ready. As a soft-target date, maybe sometime next year, maybe in 2015, maybe the third quarter, something like that. But I want to make sure I give myself time to make it as good as possible.
Good. Fantastic. Now, is it going to be a full-length movie? Are you doing a short? How is it going to play out?
A short joke, huh?
What was that?
No, it's going to be, I said a short joke. It's going to be a feature-length film. It'll be between an hour and a half and an hour and 50 minutes. I want to really put people, in a sense, through the ringer, through just. If you've seen Please Talk With Me, it's a great depiction of what happened to my friends and I back in 1985. It's won several awards, including Best Feature Film and Best Director. And I want to kind of follow in that footsteps and make it where people never forget what they saw, and they leave that theater thinking, wow, what would I do in that situation?
Right. And not just with watching you talk with me, but listening to you speak as well. I can't believe that after all this time, the first time I got to sit and actually listen to you speak a little bit about what happened was at Ocean State Paracon.
Same for me, yeah.
So it's like our paths have crossed so many times. We've been at so many events together, but I've never been able to actually sit down and listen to you speak because we're always doing something else at the time.
Yeah.
So it was awesome to finally get to hear that, and that's exactly how I left, thinking like, what would I do if that happened to me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, would I have been as strong as Chris was? Would I have been able to, center myself? The way you tell your story.
Yeah.
There were times where you had to recenter yourself, and I don't know if I could do that. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you can, I don't want you to go into detail about obviously the C2D1 haunting, but if you can kind of talk a little bit about maybe your life now, how often, other than when you're getting to do a speech, how often do you reflect back on that? That whenever your mind is idle, you have a free moment, or how often do you look back and think about what happened?
Well, I have to say that thanks to a great bunch of college friends, a priest named Father Charles Manning, a parapsychologist named Dr. Lawrence Kassler, good parents, etc., we made it through. I made it through that haunting, and I was glad. I didn't know if I would do that. You're talking now almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in about 6 months, so time goes pretty fast. And I suppose that almost every day I think back to some degree about what happened then. And it's not that I really want to. It's just that when you go through, I think anyone goes through a traumatic experience, it stays with you. And I tell people this, and I don't just say it because it's interesting to say, but I just cannot sleep by myself ever. If I have to, I'll bring someone, as a friend to sit there with me at night, because I just can't do it, because that thing came into that room, into our lives so abruptly, uninvited, not once but twice. So in the back of my head, I always wonder if maybe there'll be a third time. So I don't necessarily talk about it a lot during my regular day, unless I'm speaking somewhere. But I think about it almost every day, and I guess that's just human nature. I don't want to forget it. I don't want to let my guard down, because I don't want to have to go through those things again. But, you mentioned I had been very busy, and I'm very thankful for that. I didn't talk about this for a quarter century, so that's a long time. And now it seems almost every weekend I'm talking about it, and it's very healing for me. It's very healing to be able to share what I used to hide and be ashamed of to people now who will say thank you and hug me and shake my hand, and it is really gratifying and healing for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have to imagine that you're not alone. There are people out there that have gone through, not in a college dorm room, but have gone through something similar to this that can relate to you, and you must get those people coming up to you and sharing their story with you or thanking you for telling your story to begin their healing process. Does that happen?
Yeah, that happens, like you probably imagine, quite often. When I go to the events, there's usually one or two people who, during the course of that weekend, will come up to listen. When I was growing up, or in this house, and they'll go into some detail as to what terrified them or what they had to encounter. And it's interesting because a lot of times, if I talk to them or they talk to me, we'll get the chills. It's this reaction that is just natural. It's instinctive, and I call those the chills of affirmation. And we'll both look and laugh, whoever it is. Like, see, I told you, because there's like a knowing. It's kind of like battle buddies. If you come back from like a war, things like that, you're bonded for life. And it seems to me that these situations sometimes bring people together. And I think it's the best part of human nature. We can put our differences aside, focus on some commonality, and help each other through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a nice thing that you do for people, and it's nice that they can reciprocate it back to you. Mm-hmm. I have something that I asked once before when you were on another show. We're going to kind of bring it up again now. I've seen you at a few events. You do go to some of cons and events and things like that where obviously there are ghost hunts involved and whatnot. And do you feel sometimes that you're tempting fate a little bit by being involved in doing these? And at the same time, I'm gonna piggyback that with, have you experienced any other type of paranormal activity or events while doing one of these cons or investigations?
You know, you are absolutely right about the ghost hunt. I am a small M to the 1,000th degree, minor celebrity. So, but I am asked to go on some ghost hunts because people pay their funds and they want to go with somebody from a TV show or a movie and things like that. And, you know, I can't say no. That's rude. You know, I don't want to do that to people. So I know it's part of the deal when I go to some places there's a ghost hunt. For the most part, I try to stay in the background, you know, and I'll joke and say, I think this chair right here is haunted. So I'll take this comfortable chair while you guys go in the dungeon in the basement, and I'll make sure things here are good. So I try to look for, you know, that out. Yeah, because, and you're right about that, I fear that if I go on a ghost hunt, that I might pick up what they call nowadays an attachment. I'm learning the vocabulary as we move forward, you know. These things seem to be attracted to me, and this is going back 30 years. The priest told me that, the psychologist told me that, and I tend to see things and hear things I don't want to see. You know, it happened where I saw somebody at the Shanley Hotel. That was kind of amazing. At the Hinsdale House, that was kind of amazing. So usually if I go someplace, not always, but usually, I'll see somebody or something that is, you know, a spirit or a ghost or whatever word you want to use. And I'm afraid that they might attach themselves to me because I can hear them well, or I can see them well, and I might think I can help them. And having been traumatized by what happened 30 years ago, I don't want that. Now, maybe I'm smarter. You know, maybe I'm more wise. Maybe I'll be able to handle that much better now. I don't know if I want that opportunity. And so, for example, when we were at the Parahistory Con at Lake George this past spring, you know, I was down considered the crypt, I guess. And, you know, there were a few folks there from television shows, and they brought their, you know, their devices and their K2 meters and try to talk to some of these spirits. And as they were talking, I heard someone talking from behind me, clear as day. And it scared that out of me. And they were answering the questions. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was amazed by that. And I got so fearful, though, they'd attack onto me. And I actually left out of that place, and I sat down next to, you know, Tiffany and Denny, you know, and for about an hour because I thought, if it's talking to me this loudly already, it's going to follow me home. It's going to be with me, and I can't say right now. So I just sat there, and luckily that, you know, John didn't mind, and Kathy, and, you know, and Tiffany and Denny, because I was just trying to do what I thought was safest.
Yeah, absolutely. And
right.
Most importantly, that's what you have to do. You've got to watch out for yourself. So even if you're at one of those events, your safety is always at the utmost importance. So don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. If you're doing that and you get that feeling that you just got to boogie and get out of there, boogie and get out of there.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That's what you got to do.
It's a strange thing, though, because I would say that at least 40% of the population, 40% say, what are you talking about? There's no ghost to be afraid of. And they might view my actions as being, well, what's up with him? He doesn't want to go in. Was he drinking? Is he upset? You know, why is he feeling his obligation? But for me, you know, I would do everything I could to entertain, to help, to guide. But just like you said, there are times I have to pull myself away just because I don't want to make it a bad experience.
Yeah. Do you do any type of protection? Do you? Not talking about, you know, in the bedroom. I'm talking about...
Wow, really?
Nice.
But do you do... Is there anything that you do to kind of close yourself up or protect yourself before or after you participate in any of this?
Well, going way back to January of '85, I saw Ed and Lorraine Warren give a presentation on demonology at the college campus. And way back then, Lorraine said that what she does is she invokes the name of Jesus, she holds her Bible up, and she'll imagine what she calls a Christ light, this white mist around her to protect her from spirits. And at the time, I didn't know if there's any credibility to that, but I remember hearing it because it seemed pretty impressive to me. And during the haunting, I tried to do just that. I tried to, you know, invoke God's name, or I tried to put a light around me in a sense, but it didn't work that well for me. I don't know if I'm not talented or I didn't do it right. But over, you know, I do think that if you just try to clear your mind, if you try to envision whether there or not some kind of energy around you that keeps you safe, or you implore some higher power or some, good spirit, I think it does help. And so I don't do it actively. I don't go out and start saying, "Oh, you people gather today, watch as I do the following." No, but I do try to, put some positive energy around me, and I think can't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or you could just have John Jeff Unger follow you around.
He's very good at documenting it.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job. I was blown away when you pulled out, the copy of the notes during your speech. I was like, oh my God. You keep them. It's amazing.
Well, I didn't want to keep anything. In fact, at the time, I said to everybody, throw the pictures out, turn them off, throw the tapes, everything out. I don't be reminded of them. I'm glad that people held on to them, because now, all these years later, people put value onto them, and it's like, wow, this really happened. You look at the notes, and my name is spelled wrong. That wouldn't happen to try to make yourself look good, and it's so funny. And John Jeff Unger was the gentleman who lived in the room next to me in college, who took these notes down. And he was doing it because I said to him, listen, I think I'm going crazy. And I would like it if you could write some things down to see if I went to a psychiatrist, if they could treat me. And he thought this is a great idea for another reason. That's because if something really is happening, we can document it. We can then look back at patterns or sequences and learn from what this thing is. So it was pretty amazing, that happened. And the photograph, the same thing. And, I always struggle between the concept of experience and proof, because, let's suppose we go out tonight and we get 9 photographs of a spirit. That'd be amazing, right? It'd blow up Facebook, it'd be on Yahoo and things like that. And that's neat, but the question is, now what? I mean, now what? Would that spirit then be besieged by 800 people? Would things get worse? If we could talk to it, what do we say to it? I mean, a lot of religions and spirituality is based on faith, whether it's Judaism, Muslim faith, Christianity. A lot of, it's faith, it's believing what you can't see or know. And I wonder if we get to a point where, if we know there's an afterlife and we can prove there's an afterlife and that can happen, where does faith go? And I wonder about that sometimes.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's a funny thing with what we do as humans. Like you said, you take a photo, you catch 9 photos. What happens then? Mm-hmm. What is the next step? What are the, I don't want to say repercussions, but what happens when you put that out there and all of a sudden 9 photos and 500,000 people want to see the same thing, so now they're doing it. So it's intriguing, but it's definitely above my head.
What's also
the reason I thought about that is because back in the CG1, I actually talked this thing before I tried to get rid of it. I asked, where are you from? What happened? Why are you here? All these things. So, and it began to tell me make these comments, and I didn't even understand them until a good 20-some-odd years later. I'm like, oh, I get it now. I did some research and stuff. And so, in my experience, they can communicate. They retain some of their original personality. They hold on to some of that pain or the joy that made them who they were as a distinct individual. So I wonder, I wonder if that's for everybody. And if that's the case, then if we can't get along here, how do we get along there? How does that work? What if you're married 3 times? Do you have 3 wives waiting for you? It's like, well, who's that? So I wonder about those things.
Yeah, well, they're all valid questions. They're questions that I hope people are asking. Like you said, where are you from? I hope people are asking those types of questions who are doing this sort of research, because, if they do begin to get answered, well, they're going to be questions that we're all going to want to know. I had a little mini rant on Facebook yesterday. I kind of let my mind go a little bit and ranted for a moment, which I don't normally do, but whatever. And that was one of those things I said, though, is that, we're all here as researchers. Doesn't matter if you have the best equipment. Doesn't matter what your T-shirt says. Doesn't matter what TV show you have. We're all supposed to be doing research at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And are we good researchers? Well, if we're asking questions, then I think we all are doing a good job in some way. What we follow through with what we get back, the story. That's a really interesting in the whole. Hopefully, it's not everyone's on the other side going, "You got some splaining to do, boy." You tell me. So.
I always wondered about that when I was a kid. Like, what if I got married twice and then I died? What happened? Who do I spend my eternity with?
be an arm wrestling match in heaven. Before St. Peter lets you through, you've got to arm wrestle. Whoever wins gets to go on.
Yeah, what if he's bored of that job by now? What if he's bored of that job by now? What if he's bored of that job by now? Oh, God, there's more coming? Seriously? I'm right here. Oh, sorry, I didn't use your name in vain. Sorry.
It never ends. Please, just let me up from my seat. Let's get away a little bit here from paranormal for a moment, because you were a very accomplished runner before you were somebody who were the victim, if you will, of a paranormal incident. You had big aspirations, and unfortunately, the injuries put that on the back burner for you. The shorts that you wore when you were running, do you still wear those kind of tiny little short shorts when you run, Chris?
Oh my gosh. It's funny you mentioned that, and I wouldn't dare wear them now, especially that I'm older. But I was a very accomplished runner. In fact, a runner I used to compete against, and usually we're a second or two apart, he actually ran in the Olympics in Barcelona in 1996 in the 10,000-meter final. So that's the level I was running at. And it's funny because right before, if you've seen this film, please talk with me, before I go to talk to the spirit, a guy in the bathroom, Craig Norris, says, leave your stuff behind. Go in your birthday suit like God made you. He took my shorts. I never got them back. So.
I was going to ask you about that. I'm like, no, leave your clothes. It's all right. I'll take care of them.
He took it. He took my stuff. Like, but the ghost was gone, so it's the better of choices,
Maybe your shorts were haunted. Maybe that was
oh my God.
Maybe that's the whole.
I better not say a comment about that one. Not a ghost of a chance.
Oh, boo. Oh my goodness. So, books, movies, lectures, now directing. Mm-hmm. What else is going on in the world of Chris DeCesare? Do you have any? Are you in the process of writing any more books? Or are you kind of just focusing on one project at a time?
Well, yeah, that's just it. I'm kind of pivoting because I never thought I would be in a movie. I never thought that I'd be on TV. I never thought I'd never planned any of this to happen. Remember, I thought all these were trying to hide what happened. So this is amazing. The book is doing very well. It's published by Dark Moon Press, and I'm very proud. And we've been doing boxes and boxes and boxes. I can't believe it. And so there has been some push for me to write something else. The problem I have is this. The difficulty is I wrote basically from my experience. It's a factual account of a haunting. If I create fantasy, if I create horror, it kind of blurs the line like, oh, I see, just like writing books, and what you wrote about probably isn't true then. I don't want to lose what I have, which is that genuine experience. So sure. I'm a little hesitant to do that going forward. Please talk with me. I can't get better than that in terms of what they did with that haunting. The sci-fi showed it so well. I can't achieve more than that. So, the Veil Principle is my shot to do my take on what it feels like to second-guess your own sanity. After that, you know what? It sounds kind of silly. I want to smile, pick my feet up, have a glass of iced tea, and enjoy all the things that I've done the past few years. I've made some great friends. I've traveled to great places, and I feel so blessed. So, and if someone knocks on my door and says, how about this road trip? I'm there. I'll just play it by ear,
Yeah, right.
How far, to the best of your knowledge, how far does your story reach? Do you have a lot of people on the West Coast, overseas? How far do you think your story reaches?
Well, this is tough for me to say because just like over those decades, I never knew people talked about the events. I was just, going shopping or cutting the grass, things like that. And normally, folks tell me when I go on their show, if I'm in New Zealand or if I'm in England, they'll say, my gosh, this is the largest turnout, the largest show crowd we've had in like 2-3 years. And they say that to me. I don't know if they're saying that to everybody, but supposedly, it goes very well. And I think part of that, too, is because there's something called the skeletal image, which is the picture of the ghost that was made to the internet way back in like the late 80s, early 90s. And so I'd like to tell you a quick story. When I was going to college, my hero was Bill Rogers, won 4 Boston marathons and 4 New York marathons. I had this poster on my wall. When they were trying to recreate that set for Please Talk With Me, there was no poster. So they wrote to Bill Rogers and said, listen, would you mind if you can send us a poster of you for this film? We'll pay you for it. He said, no way, it's free. My daughter, Erica, loves the C2D1 story. She went to Japan to make films because of it, and we're honored you to ask. What? So here's my hero, my idol, who I was afraid to talk to even, knew my story. His daughter was influenced by it, and she has a career because of it. And he signed a thing, a big poster, it's huge, for me to say thank you. So how amazing is that?
Wow.
That's pretty incredible.
That's you just gave me chills and goosebumps telling that story. That's got to be one of the biggest honors of your life right there.
Absolutely. And right now it's actually hanging on the C2D1 set, which is at a bed and breakfast about the same name out in St. Pennsylvania. So people want to go out there and spend the weekend at the bed and breakfast. The actual entire set's there, the books, the bedspreads, everything we had back in college is right there. It's an amazing thing.
Oh.
Nice. For dinner, do they serve you green bean and cheese meatloaf slices?
Oh, I don't like green bean and cheese meatloaf. My mom used to stick little pieces of like vegetables and stuff in the foods that we'd eat it to trick us, and we were pretty clever as kids, and usually the dog got most of it. I mean, I ate most of it. Marc, you're listening right now. I don't want to,
It's not good to out mom's cooking in a book,
She was a very good cook, but let's face it, if you don't like liverwurst, if you don't like onions, like mushrooms, you're not going to like any form, So I didn't like green beans and cheese, No harm, no foul.
By the way, congrats to your dad. I saw the photos on Facebook a few weeks back.
God, yeah, he won like 8 medals in one day.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
He is tremendous. He is. He's going to be 71 years old in about a month and a half, and he has probably missed maybe 8 days of running in about 35 years. He's always been talented. He had us kids run at an early age to keep us in shape, competitive, and out of trouble. It got us into college, most of my sisters and I, And even though I kind of got a flat tire and pulled to the side, he never stopped running. It's inspiration. And next year I turned the big 5-0, and I've been trying to get back in shape. I've lost 40 pounds since June. So I'm eating well, I'm exercising, riding a bike for an hour. So my goal is next year, when I turn 50, to hit the roads real hard and start winning some races like he does and give him a big hug at the end if I can do it.
Nice, good for you.
That is awesome.
Is it true that your father got you to start running by chasing you with a stick?
I didn't know these. Yeah, I was a very quiet child. I would get up at 3 in the morning and chart the stars in the sky and read encyclopedias, and then come home and go to sleep. And my father said, came one day, I was 11 years old, he said, new rule, you don't run, you don't eat. What? You don't run, you don't eat. I'm like, oh. So we go out and run the roads, and every day I would have an excuse. I don't feel good, it's too hot, it's too cold, I get a cold. One day, maybe about 2 weeks into it, I said to him, my left knee hurt. I grabbed my right knee. I'm like, oh. So I quit real quick. I'm like, oh, this knee. He goes, you lying to me? I'm like, yes. So he went over and got a small branch from a tree and swung it at me. He just hit me a little bit in the arm. I'm like, I hate you. Run. And he chased me, for 3 miles with a stick, like, trying to hit me with it. I'm like, I call the police. I'm telling Mom I hate you. I was 11 years old, So we get back home, and I'm angry at him, and I'm crying. I'm like, how could you do this to my dad? He's, look at your watch. I was 11 years old, and I ran 3 miles in 18 minutes, which is a high school time. I was like in 4th, 5th grade. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, my gosh, I can run fast. Because you see, if you just get off your butt once in a while, you have talents and skills you don't use. I hate to do that to you, but sometimes you got to push people, and I'm glad. And that really helped define who I was. And I had a great time running. I did 13 marathons, and I was naturally right at distances, and I met some cool runners like Joan Benoit Samuelson in the first Olympic marathon for women, and Frank Shorter, and just nice stuff,
Wow.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Well,
you were running marathons at 14, right?
Absolutely right, yeah. I think I did 9 by the time I was 17. I did 2 or 3 a year. I ran the first one. I was at 14. It's right before going into 9th grade. I was literally 4'10" and about 93 pounds. And I ran the entire 26 miles at Montreal. I wasn't even tired. I just ate like apples and bananas and fruits. And 2 years later, I was in Long Island, and the guy asked me, hey, you're the kid eating the food at Montreal 2 years ago. I'm like, that's me. So people are getting an IV in your arms or passing out. I just had a great time. I was hungry. And I knew then I could do it.
It's a great time. I'm starving.
Wow. Have you ever considered, I know you had to put your career on the shelf because of the injuries, but even with the injuries, did you ever consider pulling a Rosie Ruiz?
No, I was so discouraged by that. And if people don't know, Rosie Ruiz jumped in at the Boston Marathon in 1980 around the 9-10 mile mark, and she won. She got in too soon. She wanted to get a good time, but she jumped in ahead of the leaders. And the woman who won was Jacqueline Garreau, who actually I met at Montreal Plug. She's a good friend of the family. And she was denied the victory for a few days, so they investigated. At the same time, Bill Rogers won his fourth Boston Marathon, which is big news. All they talked about was this cheat. And she cheated in New York and this, and I was so upset that a person who cheated got all this national coverage, and all the thousands of runners who trained for years got nothing. And so I've always told people, don't cheat. Just do what you can, do your best effort, because if you cheat, it wrongs everybody even more than yourself. But you have a great memory to recall her name. My gosh.
No, we're in Gloucester, Mass. I mean, the Boston Marathon, that's like every year the biggest thing that could possibly happen in the state. And, I remember as a kid hearing all about it. People joked how she, hopped the subway to get ahead. And then, like you said, she jumped in too quick into the race. And it's like she won. She wanted to set a good time. She won. And then it was like, she wasn't at the starting line.
Right. And she had these, flabby legs. And they said, but you speed work like speed work. And uh-oh. And in fact, Bill Rogers said right away he knew she couldn't have won, because most runners have 1% body fat, and she's about 20%. He said, uh-oh. But the lady who won, Jacqueline Garreau from Canada, she's a great human being, and they let her cross the finish line a couple of days later just to honor her, and that was 1980, going way back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Long time ago. My friend, as I say every week, Lauren and I look at each other and go, just not enough time.
Not enough time.
We're at the end. Is there anything that you would like to shout out there, give some sites for the Veil Principle, tell people to like this, like that?
Surviving evidence, evidence.
Well, I can tell you this. Corvus Nocturnum and Dark Moon Press were very kind to sponsor the writing of my memoir. And that was very nice. He encouraged me to do it. He supported me, and I'm very proud of it. So if you'd like to purchase Surviving Evidence, it's $20. It's about 420 pages, and you can get that Dark Moon Press or through Amazon. I'm very proud of that. I think people should go to ptmthefilm.com and take a look at Please Talk With Me. It's an award-winning feature film. I hope that what I can do is half as good as that. And I just want to thank everybody who I've met over the past 2 years who's made my life a more positive and happy one. And that's what I want to say. And I thank you both, too, for the same thing.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Chris. We're honored for that.
Yeah. We've got to get out your way and spend a day maybe chowing down on some meatloaf with green beans.
Yeah, and let me tell you, chase me with a stick. I'll get down the block and I'll pass out.
I'll tell you.
You'd be surprised.
I ran with Chris from the gathering area at PHC2
at Fort Henry
into the fort, and that was good enough for me. I for whatever reason, my shins can't handle running, and I was like, and believe me, no, I'm kidding. I could handle it, but I could never have gone any further with him.
Yeah.
It's not much fun, is it?
If you're good at it, I assume there's a reward, but people talk.
Yes. Folks who play chess love playing chess. They're good at it. If you're not good at it, it's no fun. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep,
exactly.
Absolutely. All right, brother. You have a great evening, and we will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you both. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was Mr. Chris DeCesare.
Yes.
One of our dear friends, and it was awesome having him on the show. In just a moment, I'm going to bring on Eric Knapp from the New Hampshire Project Paranormal, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with him. Before I do that, I want to remind everybody that things like this can't happen without the Caring Coaching Center.
That's right.
Please go to thecaringcoachingcenter.com and help build yourself a new you. And
build yourself a new you.
Reminding everyone about the Caring Coaching Center, I am now going to say hello to Mr. Eric Knapp. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How's it going?
Very well, thank you.
It's going well. Now, you're not very far from us, but how's the rain up there?
Actually, it's pretty horrible up here. It's been nonstop all day long.
Yeah.
It's weird. We've had torrential downpours, and then almost like the sun wants to come out here, and then torrential downpours. It's been very sporadic in Gloucester. So.
I swear I just saw snow like 20 minutes ago. I'm not even kidding. I was looking out the window while Chris was on, and he's talking about something, and I spaced out, and I'm like, is that a freaking snowflake? I was like, don't even tell me.
Yeah, it's a little too early for that.
Well, it is New England. You never know.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. We've been going back and forth on Facebook for a while now. Oh, that was interesting. I just got some feedback. I don't ever get that. But it's great to have you on here. And why don't you tell everybody about who you are, how long you've been around for, and what's going on?
Well, I founded New Hampshire Project Paranormal back in 2002. Basically, I've always been into the paranormal. I've always been exploring paranormal. I've always been exploring abandoned buildings. I've just been into that, into that kind of thing. And I actually had an experience where I came when I was probably about 15 years old. I came face to face with an apparition. Now, this apparition looked like you or I, only it disappeared right before my eyes.
Wow.
After that had happened, it kind of left me, wanting to know more about what I saw. So that's when I started New Hampshire Project Paranormal back in about 2002. And, we've been helping business owners and families ever since.
Yeah, and that's good. I like how you have added. This is one thing I like about having teams like yours on and some of the other teams we've spotlighted is the fact that you're helping businesses and families. It's not all about, you have a show, but it's not all about the show. It's about the families and the people that are in need first, and the show is a nice release and side project to tell some other stories.
Right.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I even to this day, I'm still about helping people. I never charge for an investigation. I never have. I like to talk to people. I like to try to help them through their situations. The show basically came, obviously, we just started this year, so the show came later. It was more or less we started doing the show for fun, kind of see where it would go. We came up with a name for it, and then people started to catch on. It started to get pretty popular, so we're running with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, how long, this is, Hunting the Haunted has been around for second season now, or how long has it been around for?
Nope, we only have six episodes released so far. Actually, the sixth episode is being released next weekend, and that's Valley Street Cemetery in Manchester. So we're still in our first season.
Okay.
Crazy place, Valley Street. I've heard a lot of different stories about that place.
Manchester, New Hampshire? Okay.
Yeah, growing up in Manchester, New Hampshire, I've been there a lot. So I've had, it's pretty much like it was a training ground for me, Like I've been going there for many, many, many years, and I've always had pretty interesting results.
Yeah.
So it always left me going back. And as far as the show, this is a place that I felt the story needed to be told.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you recently, one of the recent shows was the place where you had that experience also, not Valley Street, but the place that you had that experience as a 15-year-old coming face to face with the apparition, correct?
Correct. I actually, I wanted everybody to know, I get a lot of questions like, what got you into the paranormal? And I felt the best way for me to put my story out there was to make a little video about it. So it happened at Blood Cemetery, which is in Hollis, New Hampshire. They do say, it's listed as one of New England's most haunted cemeteries. So, back as a kid, like I told you before, I was always interested in the paranormal. So I would just go to places that people said were haunted. Now, that's the place I did come face to face with that apparition. So I wanted people to know my story. So that's what we did with that video there.
Yeah. So,
nice.
Hunting the Haunted, Paranormal Warehouse, now coming to Spooky South Coast as well.
Correct.
You're getting some recognition there, which I think is awesome. I'm very happy for you with it, and I've been able to watch a few of the episodes. I really like them. I loved Christine. I thought that was a great episode. That it was like a two-parter. I loved watching it. So if anybody hasn't seen it, you've got to head over to paranormalwarehouse.com or keep an eye to Spooky South Coast, because Hunting the Haunted it's a different show that'll take us back to sort of like when Ghost Hunters was I don't want to say good, but raw. When Ghost Hunters was about the investigation. You know?
and like not about like what sneakers and hat he's wearing.
Easy.
Well, let's be real.
But
cool because we bring a lot of different things to our team. We're a small team of 3. It's myself. I founded the group. My wife, Sky, who is really, she's the biggest skeptic out of all of us. She needs to see it with her own eyes to believe it. So having that is a huge part of our team. And then it's the paranormal princess, who is Mindy Malik, who's also my sister. Now, she's a huge paranormal fan. She's been with us from the start. And she is just a huge personality. So she brings a lot of fun to the team. So as you see, we do a lot of bloopers with her at the end of our videos sometimes. She's just a blast to be around. So the 3 of us together, we just have a good time,
That's awesome. Tell me, or tell everybody right now, real quick, before we run out of time, because we've still got a little bit of time, but I always find at the end we're rushing around. How can people get in touch with you? Where can they go to reach out to you?
My webpage is www.nhparanormal.com, and all of our contact information is on that as well, and you'll be able to see some of our episodes on there as well, and a lot of other stuff like vlogs and pictures and all that good stuff.
Excellent.
Okay.
Facebook. Hunting the Haunted is on Facebook?
We haven't started a page for it yet, but New Hampshire Project Paranormal is on Facebook, and they can get all of the information about Hunting the Haunted on there.
Okay.
I'll
try and put Go ahead.
We are going to start a Hunting the Haunted page. It will be posted soon. We're working on that now.
Excellent.
Okay. We'll put up some links for you from our page. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I love it too.
Yeah, I love working with teams like you, and it's something that we've been trying to do. We're not afraid to work with anybody. You have a good reputation. I try to do a little bit of research before we go investigate with you.
We'll investigate with you guys.
But
of course.
But no, it's definitely it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. Is sometime soon. We've got to get our team together, your team together, and do something as a collaboration.
Absolutely. We would love that.
I know you guys can't make it down to our Lizzie Borden event, but we're going to be doing a lot of other events I would love to have you at too. So I'm looking forward to it. I really can't tell people enough that they've got to check out Hunting the Haunted because, like I said, it's getting back to the investigation part. And your client interviews are awesome. I love listening in because you ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask you. I didn't really ask Chris this question earlier because Chris is not really an investigator. He has other attributes that he brings to our realm or field, if you will.
Yep.
Do you think that right now the shows that are on TV are helping or hurting our field?
To be honest with you, I think they're kind of hurting the field. There's a lot of let me put it to you this way: TV is on TV for a reason.
Yep.
I'm not saying anybody is faking anything. I'm just saying TV is entertainment. TV is on TV to entertain the people. Without the entertainment, nobody's going to watch it. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't like the shows because there are several shows that I do like, and I'm a big fan of the paranormal shows. But like I said, TV is TV for a reason. And there's one thing that I can guarantee you about our show. I mean, we're a small web series, but I even started adding it to the beginning. Real ghosts, real experiences. Everything that we put out there is 100% authentic. We are never going to fake anything. I'm not going to try to do anything for ratings. I just want to give the people a good viewing of what we do when we're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
What it's really like. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't want to make people think it's something that it's not, because yes, we put ourselves in dangerous situations. It's not all fun and games. We do try to have fun, but there are some serious situations out there.
Yeah.
Right.
I sometimes wish that they would like the little cutaway guy on SpongeBob SquarePants and have it be, you see somebody sitting in a chair and then a thing comes up on the screen and goes, 8 hours later. And he's still sitting in the chair.
You're
that's what happens.
Right? Yeah, but it's nice to have a web series like yours that kind of allows people to like grow with you and to learn with you. You know, because I'm learning on every investigation that I go on. So, you know, going from episode 1 to episode 10, look at what she's learned.
Yeah.
You know, going forward and how she's using that information.
I'm absolutely not an expert by any means, and I don't think I ever will be. You know, I'm not afraid to say that. I'm learning every day also, and I think that in this field, every day you are going to learn something new because nobody knows for a fact, everything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the next things I was going to ask, sort of kind of tails off that is, do you have any advice? If people were listening right now, if it was just a group of people who were like, yeah, I want to start a paranormal group, and you could say to them, before you do that, this is the one thing I think you should do, what would be the most important thing that you could tell them?
I think they should do as much research as humanly possible, read as many books as they can, listen to as many stories as people have out there, because if there's, one thing that I always do, like I'll always research, I'll do the background stuff, but you also have to consider, like a lot of these people that are just starting out now, they're just doing it because of what they see on TV. You know, what they need to consider is the fact that they really could be putting themselves in a potentially seriously dangerous situation. You know, that there are situations out there. I have been scratched. I have been pushed. I have had things thrown at me that should not be thrown at me. You know, there are dangers out there. And, I mean, even when you're going into some of these abandoned places, you know, there's structure damage. You have to be careful with that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I guess my thing of advice would be to be very careful and to make sure that you know what you're doing before you get yourself into a situation where you can't really handle it.
Yeah, you know, like again, compare that to Chris's experience with C2D1. How he wasn't looking for that, he didn't want that, and he was put into that experience, and he was made to figure out how to handle it and how to deal with it. And people read that and they think, well, God, what if that happened to me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do I really want that to happen to me if I walk into a house that everyone says is haunted and I'm screaming and yelling and saying push me, scratch me, do this, that, take me over, whatever? Do I really want that?
Yeah.
Or am I going to take the advice of someone who's been through that?
Yep. That's the road I would go. You know, you want to experience really is helpful in this field. I mean, there's been endless times, and I'm not even afraid to admit it, that I'll go to my mentors for help. I'll go to my mentors and say, listen, I have a situation here. I'm not exactly sure how to handle it. And I'm not afraid to say that. You know, that goes back to where I'm not an expert, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm not an expert. I've been doing it a long time, but there's still a lot of situations I find myself in that I've never been in before after all these years.
Right, and people like you and Mark and me eventually will have to become like the mentors for the next generation of kids, or kids, or kids coming in who are wanting to do the same thing, and we'll be giving them advice and telling them about what happened to us, and it'll just go on and on and on.
I can only pray that they listen to us. That's
right. Yeah.
That's the biggest problem, is getting them to listen. Because they're going to go back to look at the TV and go, no, Zach doesn't do that. No, not saying Zach's horrible, because he's not. I actually enjoy watching him, and I think he's become a very good investigator.
I do. I like that show a lot. So.
Yeah, and people knock it, but something, from show 1, and we're getting yelled at for 90 seconds. Yeah. From show 1 to now, they all have grown as investigators. They put pressure when they feel pressure is needed. Right. They take a step back and do a different approach when they feel that's needed. So I got to give them credit for it.
I think they have a great crew. Actually, it's one of my favorite shows.
Awesome. Eric, we are out of time.
Sorry, Eric.
Why don't you give everybody your website one more time?
www.nhparanormal.com, and you can get all our info about us, our crew, and Hunting the Haunted.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Eric. I will talk with you soon.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, guys. I love what you do. Keep it up.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.
That was Eric Knapp from New Hampshire Project Paranormal and Hunting the Haunted. It was awesome speaking with him. I've been looking forward to that for a while now.
I couldn't stop thinking of the Burbs, hearing the name Knapp.
But that's a good show. I like the Burbs, so that was a good movie. So anyway, that wraps up our show. We do have our Lizzie Borden event coming up at the end of the month on the 29th.
Oh, the 29th, Friday.
There are still 2 tickets remaining. And we do have a quick little special announcement. We only have a few seconds left in the show. However, Pete Stagman the gentleman, the creator, the mind behind the POV glasses you see on Ghost Hunters, will be at the event. He's going to have the POV glasses for rent for $25, and you get to keep the card at the end of the night after you rent them.
Woo-hoo!
So bring your money for the event. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a good night. See you next week. Or hear you next week.